Okay, so go.
Hi again, everyone. I'm back with John Ross. We are talking Lists for Warzone Atlanta this weekend. And John, you are going to show us the first list of this. We are going to talk about Evan's Germans.
So let me share my screen here. Thank you for doing this, Bo. It's a lot of fun, and I think the players really appreciate it. So you should see Evan's Gebirtske Pioneers. I probably butchered that.
Pioneers. Lovely. Evan, we also, that's a name I recognize as well. 12 order dice.
Evan and I were the two that got food poisoning last year at WTC, and that was really we did great day one, but day two we both wanted to just crawl up and die. So I really felt bad for him.
Evan, he was so pale. I felt so bad for him. He was really not doing well, but he kept playing. I mean, that's
We almost pulled out, but because of what it would have done to the standings and the rest of it, we went ahead and bullied through. I think
true gentleman style. That was great.
He did good, yeah.
Yeah. Now Evan has brought a 12 order dice list. Again, we talked about this last time that if you go low on order dice, you typically see this in German lists, but it can be a struggle to catch up to people. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. So for me, this was an interesting list because it's sort of what I call a faux tank list, a pseudo tank list.
Yeah.
That has a lot of armored vehicles. So he brings the Pioneers, of course he does.
The Pioneers,
they're just so very, very good. He brings a Volkssturm because they're just fun, and they're green, so they might upgrade. The Heer Infantry is for me, that's a backline holder.
Yeah. Only 5 guys.
Only 5 guys. There's a medium mortar in there. There's a Wolfgrad, the Howling Cow. That's also a very good multi-rocket launcher. Then he brings the and this, I didn't know this one actually, the 234/4, which has a heavy anti-tank gun front facing. Did you know this one in advance? There's just so many German tanks or armored cars. You can't keep track.
And if there's something obscure, Evan's going to find it and 3D print it, and he's going to bring it. So he objective achieved, ding. And he's brought a Hummel, which I've never seen on a bolt action table before ever.
No, this one I had heard about before, but I haven't actually seen it. But I like the fact that he brings a heavy anti-tank gun and then a howitzer. Like that combination is really good because one is good against infantry and one is good against tanks. So his armored car is basically a tank hunter, and his Hummel is basically there to be an extra artillery piece. And he's already bringing him quite a few artillery pieces, so that's always good. Yeah. And then sorry.
And a half track and a truck. So I mean, you're not going to see this list on other tables. This is something pretty unique. He's pretty light on infantry, and he's got these really heavy. I mean, a heavy howitzer and a heavy that heavy anti-tank gun on thing. I mean, armored players are gonna be afraid of this.
Oh yeah.
He gets lucky with the Howling Cow with the multi-launcher, and can take a few units out early. Maybe he can, but it is a light order dice list. What do you think? I mean, 12 dice.
12 dice is for me too low. Had he been in the 13 dice, I would have said that this was a really good list. And I think you could optimize it further. I mean, you could do a little bit of tweaking and get a little bit more out of this. And I think this is for fun as well as it being well thought out. I think he's bringing his he's bringing his collection of weird and wacky German vehicles, I think, which is fun. It's really fun to play. I don't think he'll end up in the top 5 with his list, no. But against some lists, he's going to be a hard counter against some lists. Yeah.
It will certainly catch some people by surprise, and he's got two tanks on this table, 2 vehicles on the table people will have never seen before. You got to give him props for that as well.
Yeah,
and he's a very good painter, so it'll be a fun one to see.
Yeah,
and he acts as kind of a backup judge, so he ends up answering questions. So I think the low order dice count and bring in
It's a
some
good
fun
idea.
toys as a way
Yeah.
for him to kind of help me as he goes along and all the
Yeah,
rest of that.
because
So,
he doesn't have to like focus as much. Right. Then it's James and his Death Stars list.
and it is a Death Star list. Yep.
Oh yeah. Soviets, assault engineers with body armor. And
And a
tank
flamethrower.
riders and a
Yeah.
flamethrower. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. What do you think about this? 13 order dice and body armor. Is that a thing, do you think?
So the body armor in the Soviets can be so irritating, right?
Yeah.
Because you throw your big assault unit up there and
Yep.
then you don't roll any fives, or
Nothing
you shoot them
happens.
with a
Yeah.
bunch of small arms fire and nothing happens, right?
Mm.
And so they can be so good. And if they're and of course he's going to put these in a truck or something and move them up very quickly. And so you're dropping off 3, 4, 5, 6 body armor guys right in front of you.
Yeah.
That's something to deal with. He's
Yeah.
got these. He's got another assault engineer squad down here,
Hmm.
also with Panzerfaust, also with
Yep.
body armor.
Yeah.
Um, he's got a lot of infantry.
Hmm.
Um, he's got this anti-tank team, which I have mixed feelings about. It's got the tough tank
Okay.
hunters, but there's only 2 guys, so
I really like them. And I'll tell
why?
you why, because they're forward deploying,
Yeah,
and they have a rifle, each of them. So you're deploying up, and you could actually put, and which he has done, put Panzerfaust on them, which it's an area denial weapon. So you're denying the enemy the opportunity to forward deploy in that area, typically next to an objective or whatever,
yeah,
and then you have a Panzerfaust pushing away enemy armor. I really like them compared to dog mines, maybe not, but they are
yeah.
really good. Um,
And then
so
one of our other random, not random, one of our one a rare
yeah,
armor 9 tanks, a
yeah,
T-34, which is
yeah,
nice to see.
yeah,
And the half track. I
yeah.
mean, it's interesting to see a Soviet list with less than 18 ordered dice,
It is. Yeah,
and he's got a lot of kind of premium things in this list. I think a lot of players are going to rock up against the body armor veterans, and they're going to really struggle.
they are. They are. The only thing that pushes this list a little bit down for me from the top bracket of competitiveness is that he only has one transport, which means that he has 2 units of engineers that's going to go up in that one transport. Of course, he'll obliterate whatever he aims at. Double engineers in body armor with Panzerfaust and flamethrower. He's going to kill whatever it is, but they're going to get stuck in that one place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be the challenge for him to see if he can actually manage to make them have a larger area of effect than just like 6 inches.
Yeah, his carrier's in the armored car slot, not in the transport slot,
Yeah, it is. So
which was an
yeah,
interesting choice. And
yeah,
you look at it. I mean, all props to him for bringing the T-34. It's one of the iconic weapons of World War
yeah,
II. It looks great on the
yeah.
table. A Stuart is always more optimized, but it's nice to see. And again, expecting about is it a countermeasure to bring now to anticipate a bunch of Stuarts, and so you do bring the medium tank? I don't know.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, the recent tournaments I've been seeing have not necessarily been Stewart heavy in the top bracket. So maybe there is something there, but I don't think that the heavy tanks are where it's at yet. I think Panzerfausts and bazookas is the way to go. Anyways, then we are moving on to Jesse, who's bringing a German mixed bag unit here. Again, we're seeing this again with the Germans, 11 order dice, right? Low
Yeah.
order dice count, which sucks. But again, with the mixed qualities or greens or mixed quality, I like that because it's fun. And it does add the element of randomness. If you're lucky with that dice roll, you get something really good.
What
Um,
what does the mixed quality rule do? I forget.
it's the extra, so you get an extra roll if you get them to go from inexperienced to regular. You roll again, and you can see if they become veteran.
Oh,
So
cool.
so that can be really cool. But of course, you are paying the points for it. So um, yeah, maybe. The Schützen are always great to see, even though he's paying for the light machine guns. It's just still a nice little unit. Not super competitive when it's not for free, but I mean, I like it. It's just a long range, a little bit of camping Germans. They can sit in the back line and shoot. And of course, the flak is just an amazing gun. If you have
He
the
he
points,
he brought he brought the 88, and
yeah,
if you
yeah,
can get the 88 in the right spot,
yeah,
and you can deal with the opponent's mortars or artillery, so they're not just ranging in on the thing,
yeah,
which
yeah.
are two,
They
because it's a
they
big
will try.
target.
Yeah,
Um, and then he's got the Panzer II, the Lukes, which is one of my favorite tanks in the entire game.
and
So
especially combined with the 250/9 because they both have a light autocannon, so it's just awesome combo because you can really pin down enemy tanks or push up into the flanks of all those nasty stewards and just murder them from the flank. Yeah,
and
and
lots of half tracks. So
lots of half tracks. Inexperienced though, which was a surprise to me.
yeah, I mean he's got the I see this a lot. I see a lot of players taking trucks and vehicles, which whenever I see it on the list, I just assume they're not planning to outflank.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
um, but yeah, it's an interesting list. It's going to look great on the table, right?
It's
It's going
going
to
to
look like
lose
a
him.
proper German list.
It is. It really is. Yeah. All the iconic German stuff here, right? With the Hanomag, with the 88, yeah, and the Volksgrenadier is also going to look great if he's modeled them right, like with different equipment and Panzerfaust on the back, and yeah, it's
And a
going
couple
to
of teenagers, right?
couple of teenagers, yeah,
I think that it is always the German trap, right? Is that they've got every choice you can possibly
yeah,
imagine, but all the choices get very, very expensive, and so you see these low order dice lists.
yeah,
Doesn't mean
yeah,
they can't do well, but you have to play very. You can't afford. Start losing a couple of order dice, and suddenly you get
yeah,
so far down in the count
yeah,
that all the initiative goes to the opponent. You have to
yeah,
be very careful with how you play
yeah,
them. I mean, with the heavy mortar in here and the 88, both of those are gonna can deal some really nasty
yeah,
damage if he does well with those,
yeah,
takes some threats out early. I think he could do
yeah.
well.
Yeah, but he is going to have to sit back. Like the first 2 or 3 turns, I would want him to sit back in his own half of the table and shoot at the enemy, trying to get pins, trying to get a few kills, maybe take out 1 or 2 units. If he does that, then he can start pushing forward. So it takes a lot of patience to play a list like this, I think.
Great, great. All right.
Then we have a British list, which is from Joe. And this is a list where I recognize ideas. Let me say that. So we have the 7-man Gurkhas with the rifles, the Canadian engineer, regular because they're just dirt cheap. We have manpower of the Empire, so the 10 free Indians, the free artillery observer that is double free units shouldn't be allowed in my opinion, but it is, and it just gives him so much power, right? It gives him so many units, so much power, so much firepower, so many bodies on the table as well. Medium mortar inexperienced, that's the way I run it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and a little bit of, it's a little bit finicky. But and the Piat team, and of course the 25 pounder, amazing gun.
For the
Um,
price, it's a great one.
yeah,
And then the airborne recce jeep for 45 points with two
yeah,
MGs. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's so cheap and it's so good.
You just
Um,
can't beat it. I mean, it's the best single choice points for value. I think it's the best choice for the Brits here. And a truck to transport up some Gurkhas, maybe, or maybe some engineers,
yeah,
Stewart. And then in the second platoon, again, he's doubling up on all the nastiness, which again, 7 Gurkhas, another engineer unit, another recce jeep, another truck, and another Stewart. So yeah, this is what I term a greatest hits list, where you take everything that's good and take it twice.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
well said.
yeah, and the one thing I will say is that most of it is very pinnable because even the Gurkhas are pinnable. So this is maybe a trick for Joe's opponents, not for Joe. But the Gurkhas, they don't have up and atom, they don't have vengeance, so they haven't got anything to get them moving towards the assault. So
Right.
pin them down, and they won't be moving. Which is what you want Gurkhas to do, like stay in place.
It,
Yeah,
but Bo, it is as a British player, and I am
Yeah.
as well. I
Yeah.
know you are as well, right?
Yeah.
It's this thing where you want to click up and at him, you want to
Yeah.
click it, and then your hand moves over and you click the free Indian 10-man
Yeah.
squad.
Yeah.
And it is such a huge trade-off because up and
It
at him
is.
makes British play like Japanese. It is so powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure which is the better of the two choices.
No, me neither. But for me, I think in this list and in this, like, with the rules that you have in the pack here, where you can only take 2 Gurkha units,
Yeah.
I think the right thing to do is to go either with Vengeance or with Manpower of the Empire with the Indian National Special Rules, because you need all your army to benefit from what you're doing. So the extra free unit, I think, is worth it here. But if you had more Gurkha units, I would rather actually have Up and Adam than the extra manpower.
Yeah.
But that's the trade-off here for me. Yeah,
I think this is a very strong list. I think it's one of
it
the strongest
really
we'll
is.
see.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It for me, that's a 4 list. Then we have Joey, who is bringing his glider platoon Americans here.
I hope he brings a glider for them to on his display board. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? So glider infantry with BAR, they don't have any like special rules. One of the units here is equipped with anti-tank grenades, which
What
I
do you
don't
think of that?
think. In some armies, yeah, I actually brought that for my partisans last weekend. Because I didn't have much anti-tank. I had 1 bazooka. Okay, but I don't think he needs it in this list. So I think he could do without. But it can be okay actually on large units of cheap infantry. Yeah, maybe.
So he has an error in his list that he has
Yeah,
sent me an updated one. I didn't
yeah,
put it in. He took a spotter for the inexperienced
yeah,
howitzer that he didn't. So
yeah.
that is fixed in his list. But what doesn't
I
change?
thought he was being cheesy and just using it to forward deploy. But
So
okay,
I
it's a
think that's a
mistake. Yeah,
really interesting strategy, right? Because you've
yeah,
got this guy you don't care about, you just throw him up there,
yeah,
and he's pushing others forward deployers back. I think it
yeah,
can be a great strategy.
yeah. Good.
He's got a Stewart, and then in his second platoon, he's got engineer squad. He's got another unit of regular. So his whole army is regular.
Yeah, yeah,
2 medium machine guns, which in our format, in the auto pin, I think is good, and
yeah.
another Stewart.
It really is. With the auto pin, I would also bring machine guns, although I would actually consider making them inexperienced, because if you're giving out an automatic pin, why not save the points and use them for more infantry?
Yeah.
So that's just my thought. This is a classic skirmish American list for me. It could be optimized even further. So, but it is a fairly strong list. I would want there to be like 1 or 2 more order dice, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's the only like thing I think should be there. But double stewards is just always good, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, I think it is. If you get 14 ordered dice in a tournament like this, I
yeah,
think you'll feel pretty comfortable. So he'll be a
yeah,
little light early on. He's
yeah,
got to get those stewards to do some work early.
yeah.
Um, and it'd be nice to have seen a second bazooka. It's
It
always a
would. Yeah,
trade-off. But
yeah. It would. Maybe especially against the armor 9 tanks, the fewer those we've seen, because you need a little bit more punch than a light AT gun, don't you?
I,
Then we are moving into another British list, but this one without the Gurkhas.
so this is not. This is a U.S. list.
Okay. Then I have the wrong list.
Yeah, you do, and here's why. Because I suck as a TO. I uploaded his list from last year.
Ah,
so
that's
so
why.
And he was like, I'm not playing British again. That's my last year list. So this is, by the way, is on the website so everybody can see that. So
Okay.
completely my fault
So
here.
this is Marlin's list, and
Right.
what does he have? 15 orderized Americans. Nice orderized count.
Yeah.
BARs on regular infantry. Don't we just love that for Americans? That's just, it's the way to go, right?
Yeah.
Regular
Uh,
engineer, more BAR infantry, medic as well, because why not? It's a cheap order dice. Light mortar. I would want to bring a medium mortar if I had the points. Sniper team, lovely. Flamethrower team, also good. Needs a jeep. and a bazooka team also needs a jeep, medium artillery piece, and an artillery tractor. And here comes a jeep. This is an armored car though, with an MMG, also very, very good. And a Sherman, nice.
A
Medium
105
howitzer
Sherman,
Sherman,
yeah.
the 105. I love that. Um,
It's
and
it's su-
then,
it's
yeah,
such a great choice. He
yeah, it
took it
is.
regular. He didn't take it as veteran.
Yeah,
So it can't move when
yeah,
take the -1 pillar. But it's such a great choice because it's an
it
armor
is.
9 tank. It can sit back. It can just spit out
Yeah,
really nasty firepower wherever it
yeah,
goes. And
yeah,
in metas like the way they are today, armor 9 is really strong. He's got the truck down here. He didn't have a
yeah,
second Jeep for his flamethrower or his bazooka team, so he's going to have to stick him in that truck.
yeah.
But
Which for me, I would have cut that truck up into 2 Dodges, I think, just to have something for the engineers and something for the flamethrower bazooka. But yeah, it's a question of what do you really want. Maybe you could push that one truck up with the engineers, with the flamethrower, with the bazooka into one location, and then absolutely dominate that location. But yeah, okay, interesting list. For me, this is a 3, maybe a 3.5. So a standard American list, maybe a strong American list. It has the order dice count. It has a lot of skirmishing, doesn't it?
it does.
Yeah,
I mean, infantry tends to win games. He's got some really good infantry here.
yeah,
And the 105 is a nice choice.
it
And it
is.
will catch a lot of some
Yeah,
people who have not,
yeah,
faced a tank with a howitzer on it before. The
yeah,
way it can move out beside a building and blast you,
yeah,
it's it can be really good.
yeah, it can. Right. And then we're moving to Monica's list here. That's
This
the
is our
Finns, right?
She's playing
Yeah.
Finns, and our first female bolt action player. So props for that. So yeah, she brought a Finnish list, and
Yeah.
Finns are a tricky army to play. I think this will be her first tournament. So
But
props to her.
this is a nice list in my eyes. I've really enjoyed reading this list, and this is speaking as a competitive player. This list has a lot of what I think the Finns should aim for. Um, so it's got the sissy infantry
Yeah,
in the right amount, because for Finns you need to run them in equal numbers, so 8 or 6 man units, just because of how the Finnish special rules work out. Whereas many other armies you would run them in odd numbers, Finns are better in equal numbers. So that's cool. I don't I don't particularly like the medium machine gun team though. I would have spent that point on something else. But the flamethrower is there, the sniper team is there because of course you take a sniper with the Finns. The anti-tank rifle team is there because you need some AT power.
yes, you do.
And then the T28s, those are the key for me. Double T28s, just that is amazingly cool. I really, really like that. Yes, they are unreliable, but having both, like 2 of those, wow, that actually, Monica, that mind blown. Um, that's the way I want to run Finns. That's
I think it's a really good so the T28s can be so much fun, right?
yeah,
They can just spit out pins everywhere.
yeah.
You've got to deal with them. You can't afford not to deal with them. Yeah, there are only armor 8. And yes, there's unreliable, which is a frustrating rule
Yeah.
sometimes, but
But
I think they're
I
such a
mean,
good
run
choice.
your officer close to them, and it helps a little bit mitigate that unreliable stuff, right?
Well, in two
And the,
platoons, she's got 2 officers to walk behind him and keep him in
exactly,
the
one
hunt, right?
behind each, and they could even, I mean, they could stick inside the consomolets and just sit there, and the consomolets could be shooting out, delivering extra pins or what have you, because they're not needed for anything else, maybe for a flamethrower or whatever. But
The
um,
the Cosmolets are the only World War II vehicle that brings along a sofa
yeah,
for the troops to sit on. So it's not
yeah,
only a cool tank or a cool transport, but it's also very comfortable. So
yeah, 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 yeah. And then the
uh,
continuation wall rifles. I mean, that just always happens for me. Whenever I look at a finished list, whenever I try to build one, I would always bring 2 of these and 2 of the CC squads as my baseline. That's it. With Panzerfausts, yeah, yeah. This is how I would build a dual platoon Finns. Maybe without the consomolets, maybe without the there was some
the
the medium
MG.
machine gun. Those points could be spent on an extra unit of sissies, maybe, but it looks really cool, and has a lot of firepower.
I think it's a great list, and I
It
think
really
that
is. Yeah.
again, American, you don't see a lot of Finns in American
Mm.
tournaments. There'll
Yep.
usually only be one, so having two Finn players this year is
Yep.
really fun.
Yep.
I think she could end up doing very, very well. You have to be very careful because you've got these,
Yep.
you know, your power is in the subtlety of the way the Finns play.
Yep. Yep.
But I
The
think
Finns
she
are
should.
not an easy army to play, but
No,
if you get them to work, they can really be powerful army. Um, although, of course, again, limited in what they can build in their lists, right? Yeah.
I think you know when you come to your very first tournament,
Mm.
you know you don't know what you're going to face. You don't know who you're going to face or what
Yeah.
lists you're going to face, and so to blink to you've got to walk in. You're going to learn how to play your army by day two.
Mm. Yep.
So no matter how she does, win or loss, she's going to be
Yep.
an expert Finn player by day two. She's going to be rocking. So
Yeah. Right. And then the final list for today will be Dalton's. Is that right? Yeah. It's called Dalton. The list is called Dalton.
yeah,
Right.
this is Patrick's list.
Patrick's list. And it's Soviet. And for me, this
It's
is what I term a mixed bag list, where it has a little bit of everything. So there
mhm.
are a couple of guard squads with Panzerfaust, a commissar, a junior lieutenant, of course, and assault engineers, veterans with body armor. So that's again that very, very survivable, almost Death Star-like unit, but it's small. This one, the free rifle squad, medium mortar inexperienced, sniper team, flamethrower team, dog mines, and a tank hunter, and that combination of a few dog mines and one tank hunter, I like that.
You like it.
Yeah, yeah, I really do.
I
Medium
like the
howitzer.
Tank Hunter team with four guys in it
Yeah, that makes it
because
a
that
forward deploying veteran team. So suddenly, like
well
a veteran unit. Yeah,
the tough Tank Hunter means they get two
yeah, yeah,
two
yeah,
hits for every guy, so that
yeah,
it's like an 8-man squad attacking assaulting
yeah,
a tank.
yeah.
I think it's you know that's the way I think to play him. It's got a
And
howitzer
and
in it.
and they can be four veterans sitting on an objective, going on an ambush, and if they're threatened, they go down or whatever,
Yeah,
and be really difficult to shift. The trucks, of course, there to take care of the pushing up of the engineers and a steward. I mean, just a really solid choice of units here, basically. Um,
and he's at I think 15 ordered 16 ordered dice.
16 ordered eyes, yeah,
Yeah, which is a little
yeah,
light for Soviet players, but I mean he's got some elite units in here. I think it's a really solid list. It's an all comers
it is.
list.
Yeah, it
He
is.
can face a heavy armor.
Yeah,
He can face an infantry list. He's got enough firepower. He's got
yeah,
enough infantry to hold objectives. So I
yeah.
think
He has. Yeah,
it's strong.
he should do well. Right, that was it for today. We are going to get back to you in the next video as well, where we do the final third of the lists. John, thank you so much for participating again and showing us what's going on with Warzone Atlanta.
Glad to do it.
Right, we will be back. Cheers, everyone. Let me just finish. Takes a little. There we go. And